the execution of the verdict. The kitchen light, cold and sterile, did no favors to the scene. Chloe sat, not casually, but regally, perched on the stool, the wine glass in her hand a scepter of dominance. She had rehearsed the lines, not to sound reasonable, but to sound utterly, irreversibly final. I'll wear what I want. I'll text who I want. I'll leave with whoever I want. She articulated, each word a slow, deliberate drop of acid. She didn't look angry. She looked bored with his existence. If you don't like it, Alex, the door is right there. Leave. The word leave wasn't an invitation. It was a sentence. A dismissal. Alex felt the shock of recognition, a sensation colder than any rage. This wasn't a skirmish. This was the execution of a relationship. For months, he had suffocated under the weight of her secrecy. The phone perpetually face down, the mysterious late nights, the sudden, brittle defense of her independence. The name Mark had become a spectral presence in their apartment, an invisible witness to their decay. He stood by the living room threshold, his old, tired suitcase suddenly feeling heavy in his hand, though empty. He focused on a microscopic scratch in the hardwood floor near his shoe, finding grounding in the flaw. He swallowed the years of humiliation, the silent arguments he'd held with himself in the shower. I hear you, Alex said, his voice a low, rough grate that surprised them both. I heard you the third time you repeated the clause about texting Mark. Chloe's chin lifted, a flicker of satisfied malice in her eyes. Then, what's the hang-up?
Go.
I'm not begging you to stay and police my life. I am not going to police your life, Alex corrected, walking toward the hallway closet with a deliberate, even stride. I am going to remove myself from your life. The two are vastly different. He retrieved his luggage. This was not the hurried, frantic packing of a man who would be back tomorrow. This was an archaeological excavation of his belongings. Each shirt he folded, each sock he paired, was an affirmation of a choice he had postponed for years. Chloe followed, her demeanor shifting from cruel indifference to panicked control. Stop this act. It's pathetic, Alex. You think this drama will make me change my mind? I don't think anything about this will change your mind, Chloe. You are perfectly satisfied with your own choices. I am simply removing the audience that suffered them, he said, zipping the cosmetic bag that held only his items. She slammed her hand against the bedroom doorframe. You are such a coward. You run the minute things get complicated. I thought you were stronger than this. You should be fighting for me. Alex turned, leaning against the dresser, the depth of his exhaustion reflected in his dull eyes. Fighting for you? What does that entail, Chloe? Begging you to put down your phone? Pleading with you to respect me?
No.
I am done fighting for a structure that you spent months dismantling. He paused, letting the silence stretch into an abyss. The relationship you want is not a partnership where two people hold each other up. The relationship you want is one where I provide the security, the money, the fidelity, while you reserve the right to behave however you please, whenever you please. That's not a partnership. That's a hostage situation. And I am executing my escape clause. He finished zipping the large suitcase. He went to the desk, pulled out a small notepad, and wrote precisely 4 words, his handwriting firm and steady. He walked over to her side of the bed, placed the note on her pillow, and placed the lamp light directly on it. The note read, "You got what you asked for." He picked up his 2 bags and walked toward the apartment door. Chloe rushed forward, intercepting him, her tears starting, hot and real, fueled by the terrifying realization of loss of control.
Wait. No. I didn't mean it. I'm sorry, Alex.
Please, don't throw away 3 years. I love you. If you walk out that door right now, I swear, I will burn everything down. Alex stopped, his hand resting on the cool brass of the knob. He looked at her, his expression fixed, utterly devoid of the pity she was so desperately trying to evoke. Then let it burn, he said, his voice quiet, final. It stopped being a home a long time ago. It's just debris now. He opened the door, stepped out, and pulled the door shut with a clean, final click. the immeasurable distance. The car ride was an odyssey through his own sanity. He drove for hours, not towards a specific place, but away from a person. He drove until the familiar street signs were replaced by foreign landscapes, until the city's frantic energy was replaced by the low, continuous thrum of a highway winding through the hills. The silence in the car was profound. It wasn't the silence of emptiness, it was the deafening sound of a psychic wound closing. The silence in the car was immense, of a verdict being rendered, of a sentence being served, not upon him, but upon the agonizing years he had wasted. His phone began its frantic dance in the center console. Chloe was cycling through her emotional script. First, texts of logistics and misplaced anger. You left the cable bill unpaid. You selfish jerk. Followed swiftly by the bargaining. Baby, I was just drunk.
Come home, we can talk.
I'll make up for it. He ignored them all. He found a low-key motel hours away, checked in, and ordered the cheapest, most disappointing meal he could find, a microwaved cheeseburger and a stale beer. He ate it slowly, deliberately. It tasted like liberation. It tasted like peace. He slept for 10 hours, a heavy, dreamless sleep that felt like a reset button for his entire existence. When he woke, the text notifications had ceased. In their place were 24 messages, the last few spiraling into a toxic vortex of blame and rage. You think you won? You are a pathetic, spineless coward. Alex picked up the phone. He scrolled back, reading the venomous last messages. Then, with a single unhesitating movement, he hit block. The resulting silence, total, unbroken, digital silence, was the most intoxicating sound he had ever heard. The social attrition and psychological defense. The subsequent weeks were an exercise in navigating the deep, hollow geography of solitude. Alex had found a small, temporary sublet in a neighborhood entirely unfamiliar to Chloe, a sanctuary where the quiet felt less like absence and more like a profound presence. The space was sterile, clinical, and offered no sensory link to their shared past, a deliberate choice. He established a rigid, almost monastic routine. Early morning runs that pushed his body to exhaustion, purging the physical residue of stress. Strong, bitter black coffee consumed in silence, followed by work done with an unnerving, singular focus. These were the mundane acts of self-possession, small bricks laid daily to build a new foundation of sanity. He realized the immense, hidden toll of Chloe's relationship, the constant expenditure of energy required to anticipate her moods, cushion her insecurities, and defend himself against her passive-aggressive attacks. Now, all that energy was his own, redirected toward his recovery. Yet, silence itself became its own anxiety. The sudden, total lack of drama was so foreign that his mind constantly rushed to fill the void, running mental loops of fear. She must be escalating. She's probably telling everyone I abandoned her. She's likely calling my boss. It was a psychological residue, the muscle memory of constant hypervigilance refusing to deactivate. He had cut off all direct contact, but he hadn't fully escaped the social fallout. He relied on brief, filtered check-ins with Michael, a mutual acquaintance who served as an unwitting, limited source of surveillance. She's fine, man, Michael reported during one terse call. Actually, she's posting like crazy. Out every night. Champagne, crowds. She captioned her last story, clearing the toxic clouds before the light hits. She looks manic, like she's trying too hard. Alex pictured the image instantly. Chloe's perfect hair, the designer clothes, the brittle intensity in her eyes that betrayed the performative nature of the living my best life narrative. He understood the mechanism of superficial validation. She wasn't actually happy. She was terrified of the empty silence he had left behind, and she was desperate for the external applause necessary to convince herself she was thriving. Then came the proof. A direct post, public and undeniable. Chloe, her arm looped tightly through Mark's, both of them in workout gear, smiling a strained, unnatural smile. The picture brought no jealousy, only the definitive click of closure. She hadn't bothered to process the end of their relationship. She had simply found the quickest available replacement plug for her need for attention. The infidelity that had been a spectral threat was now a public fact. Alex thanked Michael, asked him to never share his new location, and then, for total psychological hygiene, he blocked Michael's number too. The inevitable intervention arrived via Chloe's trusted lieutenant, Lisa. The phone rang one cold afternoon while Alex was setting up his temporary workspace. The number was private, obscured. He knew. He answered on the third ring. "Alex? It's Lisa," the voice purred, instantly adopting a tone of wounded, moral superiority. "I know you're angry, and you have every right to be, but you need to know the reality." Alex leaned against the wall, his posture mirroring his psychological defense, rigid and unyielding.
"I'm listening, Lisa."
"State your purpose." "Chloe is a total mess," Lisa continued, savoring the drama. "She's not sleeping. She had a major emotional breakdown at work, crying in the staff kitchen. They almost had to send her home. She's isolated. Alex, you are her anchor. You are responsible for helping her through this." Alex closed his eyes, his voice steady, measured, and utterly cold. "You are asking me to sacrifice my own health and stability to manage the consequences of her choices. You are asking me to step back into the role of her emotional security guard, to continue the hostage situation she orchestrated."
"No."
"I'm asking you to be a decent human being, a mature adult," Lisa insisted, her voice rising in feigned indignation. "You can't just throw away a person when they're at their lowest point." "Chloe threw me away when she issued that ultimatum," Alex retorted, his voice gaining a sharp, uncompromising edge. "I am not her rehabilitation center. Her instability is the direct, predictable result of the choices she made, which she clearly enjoyed making." He let the accusation hang in the air. "Tell her I am done sacrificing myself for the illusion of a home. The consequences are entirely hers." Lisa's voice turned brittle with genuine frustration. "You're heartless. You're a coward. You run when things get hard, Alex." "I walked out the minute things got impossible," he countered. "There is a profound difference, and I will not be guilt back into misery by a messenger." He hung up, the act clean and final. He immediately blocked Lisa's number. The quiet that returned was vast, profound, and deeply earned. A few days later, the last physical anchor to his old life was severed. Alex received a text from Mrs. Henderson, a sweet, gossipy neighbor from their old building. "Alex dear, I saw a notice on the front door today. They're renting your old unit. Such a shame. You two seemed so lovely." The apartment was officially up for rent. The symbolic weight of the message was immense. There was no going back. The familiar space, the vessel of their shared history and his deep suffering, was being wiped clean, prepared for strangers. He felt a quick, sharp pang of mourning, not for Chloe, but for the idea of the future they might have had before the toxicity set in. But the sadness dissipated almost instantly, replaced by a surge of gratitude. The past was not just metaphorically closed, it was literally being advertised to the highest bidder. Alex looked around his small, anonymous sublet. He finished his morning run, cooked a simple, healthy meal, and planned his next steps. His new life was now defined by its simplicity and the unwavering principle of self-preservation. Liberation had arrived, not in a triumphant explosion, but in a slow, cumulative series of decisive acts. He was whole, autonomous, and finally, truly ready for the quiet permanence of peace. The escalation of manipulation and the final phone call. The quiet Alex had achieved after blocking Chloe and Lisa was not peace. It was merely a temporary armistice. He had underestimated her capacity for persistence and her need for external validation. When direct lines were cut, she resorted to psychological siege warfare. His phone began to ring frequently from unidentifiable numbers, burner phones, pay-as-you-go minutes, or borrowed phones, a desperate cycle that bypassed his digital barricades. If he ignored the unknown caller prompt, a text would invariably follow, a calculated emotional bomb lobbed over the wall he had built. The messages were a ruthless weaponization of their shared past, designed to inflict maximum emotional friction, a toxic blend of nostalgia, false intimacy, and manipulative guilt. I was driving by that Italian place. Remember our first anniversary? I swear I miss you so much. We were perfect, Alex. Don't you miss that connection? Alex deleted them immediately. He refused to let the words gain traction in his mind. He recognized the strategy. She wasn't missing him or the connection. She was missing the familiar security and the control he represented. She was attempting to force him to relive the most potent memories, hoping the pain of nostalgia would outweigh his present peace. He adopted a new defense mechanism. He kept his phone muted and checked it only twice a day. He refused to grant her the power to interrupt his life, his sleep, or his thoughts. Every time he saw the unknown call or text, he felt the cold, familiar grip of anxiety, but instead of panicking, he identified the feeling as an artifact of the trauma, not a current danger. He was the observer of his own fear, no longer its victim. When nostalgia failed, Chloe escalated to demanding shared blame, believing that if she could make him doubt his righteousness, she could pull him back into the cycle. The breakthrough came via an extended voicemail, recorded through a borrowed number and filled with forced, trembling sobs. Alex listened to it, his mind working with clinical detachment. "Alex, please," her voice pleaded, thick with manufactured grief. "I know I messed up. I know I was awful, but you have to understand the pressure I was under, the stress for my job, my family."
You were distant, Alex.
"You weren't engaging with me. You have to take some of the responsibility for what happened. Please, let's meet. I need you to understand my perspective." Alex paused the playback. The message was a perfect distillation of her manipulative style. She offered sorrow but demanded an equal distribution of guilt. Her apology was transactional, a contract that required him to admit to his own failures, his distance, his lack of support, before she would admit to her betrayal. She wasn't seeking forgiveness. She was demanding shared validation for the breakdown. He played the message again, ensuring he internalized the lack of genuine accountability. He then backed up the file. Evidence, not sentiment. It was his definitive proof against any future gaslighting. The cycle culminated in the inevitable final phase. When guilt and manipulation failed, raw, toxic rage erupted. Alex answered a call one evening from a number he didn't recognize, knowing instinctively it was the final, desperate attempt. "You bastard. I know it's you." Her voice was not trembling with tears. It was shaking with pure, unrestrained anger, the mask of victimhood completely incinerated. "You are a coward. You ran away when things got hard. You abandoned me when I needed you the most." She was screaming now, all pretense of composure gone. "You were supposed to fight for me. You were supposed to save me from myself. You left me in the dust to clean up the mess you started." Alex held the phone away from his ear, waiting patiently for the storm to dissipate. He focused on the low, steady beat of his own pulse, refusing to let her frenzy dictate his internal state. "Are you finished?" he asked, his voice low, steady, and utterly unshaken when she finally paused to draw a breath. "I am not finished. You owe me an explanation. You owe me a life. You owe me everything." "I owe you nothing, Chloe," Alex stated, the words cold, heavy, and final. "You dictated the terms of the end of our relationship. You gave me the choice, and I chose myself. I am not the villain here. You are simply experiencing the natural consequences of the choice you forced upon me." He delivered the final, non-negotiable rejection. "I will not be manipulated by your words, and I will not be guilt back into misery." He did not hang up angrily. He simply disconnected the line. He immediately, without another moment's hesitation, initiated the total termination of his phone service and ordered a new line with a new number. The last digital tie was severed. He stood in the silent, clean air of his apartment, feeling the profound exhaustion of having successfully won a necessary, brutal war for his own autonomy. The battle for his peace was finally, irrevocably over. The final encounter and closure. 2 months of absolute silence had passed since Alex changed his phone number. That silence was the foundation of his new existence, solid, insulating, and sacred. He had moved into a small, older apartment in a neighborhood entirely disconnected from his past life, a space where every shadow was new and every corner held no memory of Chloe's presence. It was a Tuesday evening, and the city was drowning under an unseasonal, furious downpour. Alex was returning from the pharmacy, balancing an umbrella and a bag of supplies, when he saw her. She was waiting. She was leaning against the cold brick wall of an adjacent building, utterly soaked. The rain had plastered her expensive clothes to her body and dissolved her makeup, leaving dark streaks on her face. She looked like a drowned statue, a magnificent, desolate relic.
Chloe.
The sight of her brought a strange, distant clarity, not panic. The old fear had been replaced by a quiet, protective resolve. She saw him instantly, recognizing the distinct set of his shoulders and his measured pace. "Alex," she cried out, the sound sharp and desperate, cutting through the drumming rain. She pushed off the wall and stumbled toward him, her movements clumsy, frantic. "I found you. Thank God, I found you," she repeated, grabbing his arm with hands that were icy and thin. The sudden, cold contact was jarring. Alex pulled his arm back immediately, taking a deliberate step away. He maintained his grip on his umbrella, the dome of the waterproof fabric serving as a physical and psychological shield between them. "Please, Alex," she pleaded, her voice breaking, the tears and the rain merging into a single stream of misery. "I'm begging you.
I'm so sorry.
I've done everything. I've been seeing a counselor. I've stopped drinking. I'll block everyone. Just let me come home.
Please."
I can't live like this. I can't." It was the full, catastrophic performance, the public, tearful, ultimate appeal designed to elicit the pity that had once bound him to her. Alex stood firm, letting the rain beat a rhythmic, neutral pulse against his umbrella. He looked at her, truly seeing the desperation in her eyes, but recognizing the source of that pain was fear of isolation, not love for him. "Stop, Chloe," he instructed, his voice low but perfectly clear, cutting through the downpour.
"No."
"You have to listen. I was scared. I just need my stability back," she insisted, the word stability betraying the entire emotional transaction. "I have listened," Alex said. "For 3 years, I listened to everything except the small, quiet part of myself that was begging me to leave. You listened to your urges, your anger, and your pride. I listened to your needs, your ultimatums, and your excuses." He leaned in slightly, his gaze unwavering, delivering the truth with the gravity of a final judgment. "You didn't want a partner, Chloe. You wanted a dependent who would tolerate your abuse and call it devotion. That's not a partnership. That's a hostage situation." And I walked out. He watched her face crumple as the weight of his finality settled on her. The manipulative fire dimmed, leaving only raw defeat. But I gave you the choice," she whispered, clinging to the last shred of her rationale. "You were supposed to choose to fight for me, and I chose freedom," Alex stated, stepping fully onto the path toward the steps of his door. "Your choice ended our relationship. My choice is to refuse to start it again. I am happy now, Chloe. I am at peace. And nothing you can say, nothing you can promise, is worth losing this peace."
He reached the landing.
He looked back at her one final time before reaching for the doorknob. "The man you're looking for," he said, his voice carrying the immense weight of his new identity. "He doesn't live here anymore. He died the night you issued your ultimatum." He turned and opened the door, stepping into the warmth and light of his home, then gently, definitively, pulled the door shut, leaving the chaos and the rain outside. The door clicked shut, the sound muffled but absolute. Alex leaned against the cool wood, the tension bleeding out of him. He had faced the final test, and he had not broken. He took a slow, deep breath, smelling the clean, dry air of his new home, untainted by any shared memory. He placed the grocery bags down. As he straightened up, a door down the hall opened. A woman, about his age, with kind, intelligent eyes, peered out, holding a small package. "Oh, hi there," she said, her voice easy and friendly. "You must be Alex. I'm Maya, your neighbor. I was just about to leave this note." Welcome to the building." Alex managed a genuine smile, a smile that reached his eyes, free of the strain and complexity that had defined his life for years. He felt the immediate, easy sincerity of the interaction. Just two people, being pleasant and normal. "Thank you, Maya," Alex replied, feeling a lightness he hadn't known was possible. "It's good to be here." The exchange was brief, warm, and entirely normal. As Maya retreated, Alex walked into his living room. He looked around the small space that was entirely his own. His final emotional state was one of peace, clarity, and self-possession. The man who had been a hostage was gone, replaced by the man who chose freedom. The past was irrevocably behind him,